MetroVersusFlorida.net. Let's play some basketball.
And for those of you who are listening on our internet stream on the VarsitySportsNetwork.org, thank you for joining us as we begin the 19th of 28 games. The Metro versus Florida Challenge rolls on. And the first points of this featured game, the headline game, is Oviedo taking the 3-0 lead. So Alex Harper drains the tray, giving Oviedo the 3-0 lead. And we are underway. Again, 4 championships, state championships between these two teams. Oviedo with 3 and Evans with 1. Both these teams accustomed to not only qualifying for the playoffs, but making long, long runs. And a 9-9 count now between the Metro and Florida contingency as we get this game underway. No dice for Evans, and Oviedo coming back the other way. The long pass, and score the deuce, going bank, was Escontrias. So 3-2 lead for Oviedo. They come back the other way, right down the lane on the baseline. Unable to get the original point, but Galloway dropping the deuce after doing the Windex work. So Oviedo with an opportunity to get that lead up to 2 possessions. 6:15 remaining in the first quarter. A 5-2 lead for Oviedo in the 19th game of the 2022 Metro versus Florida Challenge. Thank you for joining us, spending a part of your holiday weekend with us. Of course, we know there are a lot of opportunities, a lot of sports going on this weekend. Evans rotates it to the right. No dice, air ball by Du Bois. And so Oviedo will have another opportunity to get that lead up to 2 possessions. Of course, Oviedo, always a state championship contender for 30 or so years. And there's the bank, the withdrawal from Galloway, now up to 4 points. Oviedo coming off a 21-7 record last year, qualified for the playoffs, lost in the first round, the regional quarterfinals. Again, under the leadership of Elson Watson. This is his first year, so they're going through that traditional period of adjustment as 22, Blount rips down the rebound. They are members of Class 6A District 5. And they won their state championship. As now the rebound pulled down by Edmonds. And Oviedo winning its state championships as the score now 7-5. So a 7-5 score as Oviedo going with a full court 1-2-2, 1-3-1 zone. Not so much a trap or or a press, but certainly full court. The slash through the middle, the kick out, and great job by Du Bois. And now the drive, another kick out, Du Bois. And picks up the loose ball. The kick out to Du Bois, unable to drop it. Galloway ripping down his third rebound. And we'll come back the other way after the turnover. So the foul on number 12, and that sends Micah Blackmon, the 6'6" senior forward, to the line. No distance on that one. Ripping the rebound down is Darmafel, doing the Windex work, and we come back the other way with 4 minutes first quarter, 3:53 first quarter. And the foul will be on Blackmon. A 7-5 score. So looking at Evans, they come off a 20-10 season, a regional semifinalist. That's the Sweet 16. Members of Class 7A District 3 as Oviedo, as the lead now cut to 8-7. And of course, Evans won its state championship. Of course, Evans winning its state championship actually in 1975. Darryl Dawkins, who went on to NBA fame, the centerpiece of that team. They've made several trips since then, though, to the finals. In 2013, the last time they reached the final. Losing to Blanche Eli. And so 8-7, the score remains. Oviedo in the lead. They've led since the beginning. They'll go back to work, 2:49 in the first quarter. We are tied at 9-all in the Metro versus Florida Challenge, each side with 9 victories. And want to point out Oviedo, since we talked about Evans. Oviedo's won 3 state championships, the last 2 under the guidance of Ed Kirshner, who was also the all-time winningest coach, most victories ever in the state of Florida. The coach came down after a very successful career in Illinois, won a championship up there, then came down here, began his coaching career in Florida at Osceola, came to Oviedo in the early 90s, and won 2 state championships, the last in 2017. Of course, unfortunately, Coach Kirshner passed away earlier this year at the age of, I believe it was 79, but certainly the blueprint that he laid for this Oviedo program continues to flourish, continued to be followed, as now the lead is taken by Evans. Score the swish for Dubois, 10-8 Evans. And of course, Oviedo, as we mentioned, regional quarterfinalists. So, again, there's your proof that Coach Kirshner's work carries on. We'll be back for the last 2:04, 10-8. Evans in the lead, their first of the game on the Varsity Sports Network. And welcome back to Joe A. Sterling Gymnasium, home of the Apopka Blue Darters. This is the 2022 Metro versus Florida Challenge. And we got our featured matchup, the game that everybody circled when Scott Williams released the schedule. Oviedo with possession, trailing 10-7 to Evans. No dice from Darnafal. Come back the other way, Evans, who just took that lead, their first of the game. They try to nail the three-pointer. That's Jermaine Hardy, the transfer from Wakaiva. Unable to drop the tray. 5'9" junior point guard. So if you're new to this event, first of all, thank you for joining us and tuning in, find out what all the excitement is about. This is a event that's based on the Big Ten versus ACC or SEC versus Big 12 challenge, as that air ball is scooped up and coming the other way. The tray, drain the rain. Orozco Dubois, 13-8 Evans as we hit 120 first quarter. At the other end, no answer. Darmafal trying to answer. Cleared the rebound, and now Dubois again. He'll kick the ball out, get it back up to the top of the key, the drive. Dubois gets it again in the corner. 3 in a row, no. And grabbing the rebounds, Haverkamp. We come back the other way. Haverkamp takes it himself, runs into a tree named Micah Blackmon, and all the other way we go. And too much pace, a little too much for Spencer Shakespeare, just unable to get control of that ball, and a turnover. So there are 22 teams in the Metro Conference. Every public high school in Orange County is a member of the Metro Conference. And in each of these games, a member of the Metro Conference takes on a non-member known as the Florida Contingency. As we continue to run, Dubois slices and dices and makes the withdrawal from the bank, 15-8. A 8-0 run now for Evans, representing the Metro Conference. And at the end of the 28 games, the largest ever, biggest ever for this event, as the charge certainly can feel that was a charge. The Evans bench rising in unison and urging on their teammates with the ooh and the ah. At the end of each of these, at the end of the 28 games, we'll count up which side, again, the Metro or Florida Contingency has more victories. So 127-97 advantage for the Metro Conference entering this year's event. Actually, 121-97. The last 2 years have been split. Of course, there was no event in 2020 due to the pandemic. As Jermaine Hardy slices and dices, stops and drops, and gets the last 2 points of the first quarter. But that caps off a 10-0 run by Evans. They 17-8 now in the lead for this 19th game of the Metro versus Florida Challenge 2022 edition on the Varsity Sports Network. And welcome back to Joe A. Sterling Gymnasium on the campus of Apopka High School. The Metro versus Florida Challenge 2022 edition, a 9-9 count. And Evans representing the Metro Conference closing out the first quarter with a 10-0 run, 17-8 lead over Oviedo, representing the Florida Contingency, and they have found their groove, moving that ball. Dubois, swish, and they are raining three-pointers. Evans now 13-0 run. Evans needs an answer. They need an answer quickly. And trying to make that answer is Micah Hernandez. He's not going to. Running into the trees, wearing those Evans uniforms. At the other end, a couple of opportunities. And grabbing the rebound, doing the Windex work. is Micah Blackmon, the 6'6" senior forward, and he will go to the line with an opportunity to get that lead up to 14 points now. So, of course, the Evans bench, which is right to my left, about 5 feet, Coach Morgan urging on Blackmon, telling him to settle down, take his time. Unfortunately, that advice does not do any good. The lead remains at 20-8, still a 13-0 run by Evans. They've completely turned this game around since midway in the first quarter. And there's the answer from Blount, a desperate need. So 22-11, lead back under double digits. Now Evans slowing down the pace, not looking for transition. That's Hardy up to Gentiles, back into the middle, and the drive lowering the shoulder is Blackmon. He'll go back to the line. Foul committed by number 2, Alex Harper. (21-11) lead. Skying for the rebound, number 10. And from the right wing, in and out, doing the Windex work, but unable to make the pass is number 10 again. Swings the ball out, Evans, down to the left corner. Three-pointer, drains the rain. That was Micah Blackmon draining another three-pointer, and Evans has found their stroke. They are shooting over 50% from the three-point range. And in the right place, right time, give the rebound to Blackmon and the deuce. An emphatic play, raising the lead to 26-11. And Coach Watson, the first-year coach for Oviedo, seen enough. 26-11 lead for Evans. And they are on a 19-3 run, 5:47 remaining. This is the Varsity Sports Network. The 2022 Metro versus Florida Challenge continues. This is game number 19, matching the Evans High School Trojans, representing the Metro Conference, and they are taking on the Oviedo Lions, representing the Florida contingency. A 26-11 lead by Evans on a 19-3 run, wiping out an early lead by Oviedo. 9-9, Metro versus Florida, that's the count. Of course, this is the first game for almost all these teams. There's the interception by Escontrias. And now a 21-3 run and an opportunity to further do damage with the turnover. And unlike the previous game, that was Windermere versus Windermere Prep, which defense ruled the day, Windermere winning by 20-plus points. Defense being the catalyst. This has really been transition. Just Evans getting those long rebounds and getting into transition quickly, getting looks, several good passes. So it's been the offense, which has been first and foremost the catalyst for Evans taking this lead, double-digit lead. They won't get that tray there. And a foul as well committed. Number 10 ripping the ball, rebound down. So Oviedo brings the ball up. That's Hunter Haverkamp walking it up. Certainly a much slower pace than what we've seen, as I just alluded to. Popping out at the top is Blount, unable to get the tray. Grabbing the loose rebound. though, is Darmafal, who gives it back to Blount, and Blount draws the foul. 4:43, second quarter. Oviedo will retain possession, trailing by 17. They've just been overwhelmed since the 4-minute mark or so of that first quarter. Evans on a massive run, and now the 5-second call. As I mentioned, it's been really the transition offense, which has first and foremost been the catalyst. But there they go to their defensive prowess to get the turnover. They won't get into transition, but looking good in that half-court offense. Some nice perimeter passing. And down low, along the baseline, the attack from Raheem Edmonds Jr. Unfortunately, he steps out of bounds, so Oviedo putting together defense of its own, answering Evans. I'm Neil Fisher. Thank you for joining us on this day after Thanksgiving 2022. As the turnover by Oviedo, and Elson Watson, the first-year coach, asking the ref about what exactly his player did. Bobby Latmore manning the controls, a.k.a. the director, and operating our cameras, Robbie Geller. So Evans goes back to work, opportunity to increase a 17-point lead. A lot of three-pointers in this run, shooting over 50% from three-point range. The drive, the slash, the dash for Charles. He can't drop to do so. At the other end, the long pass out of the reach of Green, and we come back the other way. Three quick passes. Evans now settles down into the half-court offense. On the wing, no dice, doing Windex work. That was Anthel Brooks, but unfortunately the pass was too long, and so Oviedo's dodged a couple of bullets. This lead could easily be over 20 points. Evans certainly has had the numbers the last 3 or 4 possessions. Popping out is Blount. He can't get the tray. Cleaning up the boards is Shakespeare. And actually that was Escontrias with the rebound for Evans on that last possession. And now Oviedo will inbound the ball, trailing 28-11. It's been about 2 minutes since anyone scored. Evans on a 21-3 run. And of course, I don't think anyone out there, any of you would ever think that that would be a 21-3 run against Oviedo, the 3-time state champion, even under a first-year coach. So Oviedo back to work, need to get some points, not just to break the streak, but to build some confidence and get some momentum. Down by 17, still time to get back into this game. Harper taking the short shot, and the defense again harassing him and altering that shot. Evans will now take the ball in. So this is the 2022 Metro versus Florida Challenge, dedicated to Earl Graham. And ball snagged away by Harper, leads the charge at the other end, and makes the withdrawal from the bank. And that breaks about a 2-minute streak of neither team scoring and a 21-3 run for Evans. Certainly a long way to go for Oviedo as ball pops in and out. But you got to start somewhere. Now an opportunity to score on 2 consecutive possessions for Oviedo. They'll launch short. That was Blount, and now the easy opportunity at the other end, but it doesn't go in. Scramble to the right of the basket, ball comes loose. Picked up by Escontrias. And Coach Morgan, Evans' coach, calls a timeout. So settle his team down, who has that 15-point lead, 2:11 remaining. This is the 2022 Metro Conference versus Florida Challenge on the Varsity Sports Network. I think it was 2. Welcome back to Apopka High School, home of the 2022 Metro versus Florida Challenge, with Evans representing the Metro Conference enjoying a 15-point lead, 2 minutes remaining. Evans also put together a 21-3 run to take that lead after Oviedo burst out in front at the beginning of this game. Of course, this is a matchup between two state champions, 3 for Oviedo, 1 for Evans. Both these teams have also lost multiple state championship final games. So certainly a surprise to see Evans ahead by 15. You'd think this would be a nip and tuck affair throughout. Has not been that way, though, as Blount and score the deuce for Darmafal, number 21. That cuts the lead to 28-15. 4 points in a row now for Oviedo. Not pretty, but the result is the same. And just that quickly, the three-point answer for Dubois. It takes the lead back up to 16. 31-15. So the good news for Oviedo is that the lead never did get over 20. They were flirting with that for most of this quarter. Under Evans, a barrage. Tipped around. Coming down, Grady King. And he'll take the short shot, nothing doing. Doing the Windex work is Charles, leads the attack on the other end. And the foul, offensive charge on Blackmon. So Evans is in double bonus. They've committed only 4 fouls as we're now under a minute, 51 seconds remaining. And Alex Harper will walk the ball up. Down low into King. Bounces it out to number 10. Off the left side of the ring, battling for the rebound is Blount and Blackmon wins that battle. So 31-15, 30 seconds remaining. Evans, if it so chooses, can take the last shot of this first half, a half that they have dominated since about 4 minutes in. A 21-3 run, and they will not wait. Didn't get the feeling they would. Oh, stripped right away. Escontrias just putting his hands in and striping the ball away. He'll also draw the foul with 10.7 seconds remaining. And that was Alex Harper committing the foul. So a 9-9 count between the Metro and Florida teams. So Oviedo will have an opportunity to answer. 17-point lead, but again, long way to go even if they do. 7 seconds remaining, 5 seconds, 3 seconds, 2, 1. Air ball off the hands of Harper, and that will bring the first half to an end. And really, two numbers stick out. If you're Evans, and even more so if you're Oviedo, Oviedo had an 8-7 lead after 4 minutes or so. Then Evans put together a 21-13 run, draining 5 3-pointers during that run, shooting over 50%. Coach Morgan calling a timeout, and nothing but on fire from three-point range after that timeout. So this is the 2022 Metro versus Florida Challenge from Joe A. Sterling Gymnasium on the campus of Apopka High School. We'll be back with the second half on the Varsity Sports Network. And we get ready to start the second half. This is the fifth game of 7 being played today on day 2, the 2022 Metro versus Florida Challenge. And Evans with a 33-17 lead over Oviedo. And really has to be a surprise for those of you who follow high school basketball with any consistency. This was certainly, could arguably be considered the glamour game of this 2022 Metro versus Florida Challenge, with both these teams winning state championship, 4 between them. And Evans continues to dominate. That is Raheem Emmons Jr. swiping the ball, playing defensive back, jumping the route like you would see in football, and drawing the foul. So your leading scorer, this has been not only Evans, but this has been the Orozco Dubois show as well. Dubois with 20 points at halftime. That includes 6 3-point field goals, and certainly he has heated up. Oviedo actually leading 8-7 about halfway through the first quarter as neither free throw drops. And the lead remains 34-16. 8-7 lead for Oviedo about halfway through the first quarter. Since then, a 21-3 just assault by Evans, which included 5 of those 3-pointers from Dubois, which I just spoke about. And then you go into halftime with the 34-16 lead. So certainly the way that Oviedo would want to start out the half in terms of the scoring. Obviously you don't want to turn it over, but they did dodge the bullet and they get the first points. Get the first 2 points as Harper cuts the lead now down to 34-17. And this shot will not count. The whistle came well before. So Oviedo with 3 state championships, Evans with 1. They've also made multiple appearances in the state championship final. Both these teams coming off 20-win seasons. As the assault continues, this time though, Escontrias goes splash, and the lead now up to 20, the largest of the game for Oviedo, only 45 seconds into the second half. The spin. Couple of quick passes, and Escontrias at the other end. And now things go from bad to worse for Oviedo as Micah Hernandez tried to inbound the ball to Ryan Blount. Actually, it was Nathaniel Darmafal, and Darmafal had no clue that the pass was being made to him. So 39-17, Evans again with the 21-3 run midway through that first quarter beginning, and they continue that assault here in the second half, now up by 22. This is the 2022 Metro versus Florida Challenge on the Varsity Sports Network. So we return to live action. 6:58 remaining in the third quarter, only 1 minute in to this third quarter, in which has been a total domination by Evans since about 4 minutes into the game. Oviedo actually came out and took a 8-7 lead, and obviously, as you can see, it's been all Evans since then. 32-9 since the 4-minute mark. Orozco Dubois, the 6' 1" sophomore shooting guard, has totally dominated this game. If you want to talk about individuals, 20 points at halftime, draining 6 3-pointers. And of course, as the slam by Blackmon ups that lead to 22. But again, remember, you're not shooting 6 3-pointers and 20 points unless you're getting help from your teammates. They're the ones that create the open and good looks, high percentage looks to begin with. So certainly Evans taking advantage of their sharpshooter, putting him in positions where he can score. And now the lead at 24 as Oviedo just trying to get some semblance of an offense going. The ball bouncing around, and Edmonds Jr. finally comes up with it. Great effort by the Trojans. Evans will inbound the ball. Comfortable 24-point lead. Still not even 2 minutes into the third. And right through the middle, like a running back whose offensive line just pushes the offensive line or defensive line back. That was Everson Charles doing the deed. And now a 26-point lead. Couple of slams here in the last 30 seconds or so. As Blount, give him credit, not giving up yet, tipping that ball to himself, and he'll drop in the deuce going bank. Cuts the lead to 43-19. A 9-9 score in the Metro versus Florida Challenge as Evans continues to pour it on. They've made very few mistakes and very few misses, shooting over 50% from three-point range and over 60% from the field in general. Nathan Darmafal commits the foul. So if you're new to the Metro versus Florida Challenge, first, thank you for joining us on this holiday weekend. Of course, we know there's all kinds of sports going on, including the World Cup this week, being played in Qatar, playing it during the fall instead of the summer because of the heat. And then, of course, the traditional plethora of basketball tournaments as the college basketball season gets underway. Football in its last week, rivalry week, and, of course, the playoffs, birthed in the playoff at stake. And then the NFL continues to play. So thank you again for spending part of your holiday weekend with us here at Joel A. Sterling Gymnasium in Apopka High School. So there are 22 teams in the Metro Conference. All of them are public high schools in Orange County. Unlike the colleges and conference realignment, you don't need to take a vote. You don't need to get an invitation. It's just very simple. When you open your doors, if you're a public high school in Oviedo, in Orange County, you get membership into the Metro Conference. And there are 28 games being played over this extravaganza, the largest ever. Every game pits a member of the Metro Conference against a non-member, also known as the Florida contingency. And at the end of the event, we will add up which side wins more games. We are tied at 9-all now. Of course, Evans looks like it's on its way to giving the Metro Conference its 10th victory. As draining the rain is Grady King. That was nothing but net, a beautiful stroke. Still a 23-point lead for Evans, though. The drive through the middle, the kick out. That'll be short. And skying for the rebound is Harper. He gets his hands, leads the attack at the other end. He'll go one-on-one against Edmonds Jr. King being guarded by Charles. Now the shot. Loose ball, and we've seen this a lot of times, 3 out of every 4 times, just the eyeball test. That 50-50 ball picked up by Evans. Great passing around that perimeter, and certainly Evans making a statement. Windermere made a statement, another Metro Conference team in the previous game, winning by 20+ over Windermere Prep. And now Oviedo gets a couple of breaks. Evans cooling off, missing 3 straight field goals. Of course, Oviedo needs to put the ball in themselves for it to matter. And again, 50-50 ball. Evans just seems to always have a hand on it. In that case, they don't actually gain possession, but certainly make it much more difficult for Oviedo to get possession. Coming up next, the 7th game, Lake Nona at Buchholz out of Gainesville. And then we'll wrap up day 3. The 21st game, East River against Mount Dora Christian Academy at 8:15. The sweep to the basket, no dice. Good defense by Oviedo. Great King pulling down the rebound. He'll lead the charge at the other end. Nice cross-the-court pass to the bank, and the bank setting up Blount for the bank. So that cuts the lead down to 21. And Oviedo seems to have found some semblance of offensive rhythm, although, again, 20-plus points. They got a long way to go, and certainly they've gotten some help with Evans taking maybe what could be termed as some ill-advised shots. And also Evans in general has just cooled off. Still shooting over 50%. Of course, we don't keep stats in the high school level, at least not on our broadcasts. We don't have the staff for that. But eyeball tests, certainly they've made at least half their shots from the field. And that includes 6 3-pointers at halftime from three-point range as King sweeps in on that right side and scores off the backboard. So now starting to make some headway from Oviedo. Under 20 points, that's the first stage. And they're going to get another break as the ball does not drop for Gentilis. And in the scramble, ball goes back to Evans, though. So Evans catches the break, chance to get the lead back up to 20. Stop, no pop. And now running that perimeter is Gentilis. He loses a possession. It was blocked. Coming back the other way, that's Galloway. And pulling down the rebound, King. He sweeps through. The pass inside to Blount, and a 17-point lead. So Oviedo chipping away at that lead with 2:25 remaining, and another whistle, a foul. Blount committing that foul. So, of course, if you're Evans, you can afford to have a lull, so to speak. Again, Evans still moving the ball well, still moving the ball up and down the court well. Their shots just aren't falling like they were in the first half. While Oviedo has upped its field goal percentage and gotten a couple of turnovers. So Evans certainly turning the ball over more frequently in the last 4 or 5 minutes than they have been, but still doing a good job overall of taking care of the ball. And still way below Oviedo's turnover mark as we now have 2:24 in the third quarter. The shot by Harper. Score the 15-footer. Nothing but net. And now a 17-point lead. So if you're Oviedo, your first step is to get that lead under 20, which they have. And now you can't afford for very long to alternate between 15 and 17 points. The long outlet to Harper, who sweeps in, scoops the bank, and makes the withdrawal. A 15-point lead. Oviedo making some inroads. A plus 20 lead. 24-point as large is now down to 15. 146 remaining. See if Oviedo can keep it up or if Coach Morgan has an answer, which effectively puts Evans back in control. This is the 2022 Metro Conference versus Florida Challenge on the Varsity Sports Network. Welcome back. 146 remaining from Joe A. Sterling Gymnasium on the campus of Apopka High School. I'm Neil Fisher. Thank you for joining us. Evans with that lead. This is the fifth of 7 games being played on day 3 of this extravaganza. Ball slips off the rim and will remain with Oviedo. Evans unable to corral the loose ball. So this event started in 2009 at Wekiva High School. Now the head coach here at Apopka High School. It was started by Scott Williams, looking for a signature event. Again, Wekiva in only its 3rd year. That foul committed by Raheem Edmonds Jr. and it has grown from that first year. They still had a pretty large contingency. I believe there were 19 games played that first year. Of course, Mount Verde took on Winter Park in the headliner, the very last game, and Mount Verde won that game by 10 points. Winter Park scoring over 100 points and still falling. Winter Park led by, it was actually Winter Park who won that game, and they took a 10-point victory over Mount Verde. Winter Park led by the incomparable Austin Rivers. At the other end, drain the rain. That's Edmonds, and Evans reasserts itself, regains some momentum. 56 seconds remaining in the third quarter. And the lead back up to 18 with that three-pointer from Edmonds. At the line, it'll be King. So this event is now up to 28. 6 teams playing, 2 games for the Metro Conference. Seminole playing 2 games for the Florida contingency. And the 6 teams playing 2 games under the Metro Conference banner, as that tray's not going to drop. And an over the back, number 10, skying for that rebound, and he was fouled. Edmonds crawling over the back. So your 6 teams under the Metro Conference banner playing 2 games. Of course, Apopka is the host school, always plays 2. That'll cut the lead to 14 with 30 seconds remaining. Lake Nona, Dr. Phillips, Winter Park, Windermere, and Lake Buena Vista. Meanwhile, back to the action. The tray, this one bounces off the rim. Snagging that rebound originally was Blackmon, but he couldn't hold on to it. Harper gets the pass. 8 seconds remaining, 5 seconds. And Butterfingers, Oviedo unable to handle the ball. And so Evans, with 6.4 seconds left, will get the last opportunity. Got to get the ball up quickly. Here, Coach Morgan yelling push into the corner for Dubois. Splash as the buzzer sounds, and can't have a better ending than that tray. Evans, of course, its lead cut into, getting it down by as many as 15. Oviedo, they answer, come back, and when all said and done, they still have a comfortable 17-point lead, as well as the momentum on that 3-point field goal. Live from Joe A. Sterling Gymnasium on the campus of Apopka High School, the 2021-2022 Metro. Welcome back for the fourth quarter. The 5th of 7 games being played at Joe A. Sterling Gymnasium on the campus of Apopka High School. A 53-36 lead for the Evans Trojans, representing the Metro Conference, against the Oviedo Lions, representing the Florida contingency. And the same way we ended the third quarter, we begin the fourth. The tray. Lead back up to 20. A 21-3 run starting about halfway through the first quarter put Evans in the lead. It was an 8-7 Oviedo lead, and Oviedo has just never really recovered. Certainly they look much more coherent and much more semblance of a team running what they're good at on offense and defense in the third quarter. But again, they had to make up an 18-point run. So now down to 18. Oviedo with the opportunity for the 3-point play. Shakespeare brings the ball up. He'll get it over to Charles, who sweeps on that left side and goes bank for the deuce. A 19-point lead now, so Evans comes back, reasserts that lead.
I'll be around because I'll be in Orlando. And if you need me, I can run over here and take you 20 minutes.
At the other end, this is Harper going one-on-one with Dubois. He won't be able to score. Kicks it out to the corner. No dice again. That's Blount doing Windex work and trying to go for the putback. He'll draw the foul. Stops the clock with 6:38 remaining. And, of course, certainly, even though Elston Watson is the first-year coach at Oviedo, as Blount steps up to the line, anybody who follows high school basketball couldn't have imagined that Evans would have dominated this game to the way they have. Quite frankly, this was supposed to be arguably the feature game, the top of the list in terms of interest and excitement. And that 21-3 run keyed by 5 3-point field goals by Dubois just rolled over Oviedo, starting with about 4 minutes remaining in the first quarter. So with that 18-point lead, Oviedo was able to get it down to 15, but then Evans scored a couple of baskets, got a turnover, went transition off a missed three-pointer, and a bit of luck there for Blount as the ball rolls into the net, bounces into the net. Top of the key. Charles sweeps on that right side and floats in the deuce. Back up to 18 points now. It is a 60-42 score. As Oviedo looks to cut in, they won't do it this time. 5:40 remaining. Evans now slowing down the pace as we get towards the end of the game. Coming back the other way, Oviedo, nice stop. Give and go between Hernandez and Blount, ending with Hernandez making the withdrawal from the bank. Lobbing that ball in off the backboard, and a timeout called by, well, I'm not sure who called it out, but anyway, that was Coach Watson for Oviedo. 5:27 remaining, 60-44 is the lead for Evans. They have led since the 4-minute mark of the first quarter. So while we got the break, take a minute here, and of course, the official name of this event is the Earl Graham Metro versus Florida Challenge. If you're new to high school basketball in the state of Florida, and in particular the Central Florida area, Coach Earl Graham passed away. It'll be 2 years on January 7th due to COVID. He was a well-known figure, not just because he spent over 40 years coaching youth, and although he coached mostly basketball, he did also coach football for a while. He was just one of those coaches who no team can be successful as well as an individual head coach without him. He was the guy who did all the dirty work, the behind-the-scenes work, stayed out of the limelight. He would work with many an athlete at 5:36 in the morning before the sun comes up in the winter, during the colder days of the year, before the classes. He would do the organizational and logistical work, take care of all that for the head coach. And you never saw him on the bench. He always sat behind the bench because he had done his work out of the limelight. In the meantime, as good a coach as he was, he used basketball as a vehicle to really be a great mentor to youth, and there are so many more youths, thousands of them, as we get a charge. That is Dubois.
Offensive foul is called against number 10. First for Dubois, that's a second. It's a 7. No bonus shots for offensive fouls and turns the ball over.
and really providing like I said, a mentorship as well as a structure for young men and women to be set up to lead productive lives after leaving high school and going on to college. That was Coach Earl Graham, and of course Mark Barchi, who is now taking over in the director role. Ray Geller, our video cameraman. Mark and I got to know Coach Graham fairly well. He worked for Coach Williams as the sweep in the bank from King. Grady King with the basket +1. Coach Graham was part of the original coaching staff under Coach Williams when Wekiva opened in 2007. Stayed with them through Coach Williams' 7 years at Wekiva and came with them. And Coach Graham came with Coach Williams when Coach Williams came here to Apopka 5 miles up the road. But Mark and I, of course, got to know him through those first 7 years at Wekiva because we are the in-house team at Wekiva. And, of course, just want to mention Coach Graham. And any thoughts, about Coach Graham and getting to know him when he was at Wekiva, Mark?
Yeah, certainly Coach Graham left an indelible impression on all the programs that he touched. Obviously, Lake Highland Prep, where he was an assistant football coach, then followed Scott Williams around for quite some time, including his time at Wekiva and at Apopka, and just a real presence as we get a three-point basket from Jalen Escontrias as we answer quickly by Ryan Blount. And as you noted, Neil, Earl Graham was not necessarily always the easiest coach. He expected a lot of his players.
Yeah,
as you get Micah Blackmon with an answer for the Trojans.
Yeah, I left that out. He was a hard ass, for lack of a better word. But again, I don't know any successful coach, and in this particular case, as I mentioned, no individual coach as well as a team can be as successful. And, of course, ending with Coach Williams. Coach Williams looking for 500 victories now.
But it was definitely a tough love. You will have a hard time finding a coach who really cared more, as we get a dunk from Micah Blackmon on the pass from Rehan Edmonds Jr.
And, of course, we're not supposed to do this, but I think it does serve the purpose of explaining why it's so important to have a coach who, again, his goal
Transition layup to Raheem Edmonds Jr.
Coach Graham's goal was first and foremost to just be able to work with young men and be able to instill in them what it takes to be successful after high school once you become an adult. Secondary was to win games, but I had a coach, of course. I played several sports, hockey and baseball were the sports that I excelled at, and my coach was the same way. He was the kind of coach who, if he told you to make the pass 5 1/8 inches past 6 inches past the blue line, you didn't do 5 7/8 or 6 1/8. You did exactly 6 inches, and I'm a better person for that today. And of course, alluding to Coach Earl Graham just being tough and expecting perfection, he never let anything slide. I certainly understand that mentality. And now, of course, as we mentioned, there are thousands of young men and women who are leading productive lives because of Coach working with Coach Graham. With all that said, the point that I was getting to is at the end of each game, there's always one last piece of business to take care of, and most likely with the 21-point lead, it will be Orozco Dubois, who had 20 points at halftime, and that is deciding and then awarding the most valuable player, officially known as the Earl Graham Most Valuable Player at the end of each game. Of course, Mark will be doing that in 3 minutes running time. To be honest, this game, the outcome was long decided. 4 minutes in, Oviedo had the 8-7 lead as that ball does not drop. Getting another rebound, I believe that is Escontrias, number 13. 21-3 run ripped off by Evans. Just a masterful clinical exhibition of transition offense and setting up that three-point field goal. Blackmon, who is close to 30 points, dropped in five three-pointers, 6 in total in that first half. Those five three-pointers coming during that 21-3 run. And as they say, Evans never looked back. Representing the Metro Conference will be the Metro Conference will have a 10-9 lead at the end of this game, winning 2 in a row. Windermere rolling to a 20-plus point victory over their crosstown rival, the Windermere Prep Lakers. Both those games were supposed to be the featured games, supposed to be the most interesting, dramatic, because they were supposed to be the closest back and forth, nip and tuck affairs, but both of them were decided early, 4 minutes into the fourth quarter or so. Both Windermere and Evans producing runs in which the deficit was at least 10 points. And coming up next will be Lake Nona taking on Bucos out of Gainesville. Bucos always a contender to get into the state playoffs.
And on that previous play, Neil, that's a call you don't see every day, but we actually seen it a couple of times here as we get a basket by Micah Blackmon. That was a goaltending call, so that basket by Raheen Edmonds Jr. did count. And now we're going to get a full timeout called by the Lions. We'll be back with the conclusion of Game 19 from Joe A. Sterling Gymnasium right here at Apopka High School in just a moment.
Start.
So we're back to live action. Joe A. Sterling Gymnasium. Apopka High School is the site. And a game that, unfortunately, if you're a basketball fan, not a fan of either of these teams, Oviedo and Evans, was decided by the end of the first quarter.
Foul called against number 5.
A 21-3 run put together by Evans.
It's Micah Blackmon's first personal foul, the team's 9th. Edmonds shooting.
Evans with a blistering exhibition of outside shooting, 5 3-pointers during that a 21-3 run.
Backcourt violation. Lions ball.
All 5 of those 3-pointers dropped by Resco Dubois, the 6'1" sophomore shooting guard. And the lead growing to as much as 24 by Evans early in this fourth quarter. Oviedo stabilizing it. But again, Oviedo just never really looking like it was in sync or rhythm at the same level that Evans was. Now that run was incredible field goal percentage shooting.
Grady King for 2.
Until the third quarter, Evans was shooting about 66%, 2/3 from the field in general, 50% from three-point range, although the three-point field goals were not nearly as frequent in the second half as the first. They just didn't need them.
3 for Avenel Brooks from Wycliffe Genelis.
So one last three-pointer there to close out, again, what was their primary weapon during that 21-3 run. But that run just featured great transition offense, great passing. I believe every basket that was scored, there was never more than 3 passes, and set up one good look after another. Oviedo shooters just left wide open.
Miggy Hernandez is called on the charge, which was taken by Colin Cummings. That turns the ball over to the Trojans.
And so now Evans will run out the clock. One last three-point shot.
3 for Avenel Brooks.
And that'll bring the 19th game for this 2022 Metro versus Florida Challenge to a conclusion. Your final score, Evans, under the Metro Conference banner, taking a 79-51 victory, and that ups the overall score 10-9 in favor of the Metro Conference. Again, a blistering first half from the field for Evans in a 21-3 run, shooting over 50% from three-point range